Hey everybody, it's Allie, and welcome to our Y&R chat for Sunday, July 15th. I just want to start out by giving a quick shout out to my friend Karen Ferguson. She is dealing with a loss right now, and I just want to tell her that my heart is with her, and if you guys have a moment, just send some positive thoughts her way. It's like when one Y&R fan is in trouble, we're all in trouble. Like, shine the Y&R logo up into the sky and we should all sweep in to help rescue one of us. I love you, Karen, and I am keeping you in my heart. So, this week, the past has officially caught up with Phyllis. It's taken 18 years, but it has caught up with her, and I'm loving the way that Y&R is taking loose ends from the past and tying them up in the present, because we have finally fully discovered and flushed out the fact that Daisy had that credit card receipt of Phyllis's in her wallet. Ricky had the credit card receipt of Phyllis's in his Phyllis file, his creepy weirdo Phyllis file, and everyone is starting to figure out and put the pieces together that it was connected to the hit and run back in, what'd they say, 1994, I think it was. By the way, who keeps credit card receipts from nearly 20 years ago? I get rid of that stuff right away. Why would you even keep that, Phyllis? You were asking for it, I guess. But she did. She kept it. It's becoming a major albatross now that she's going to have to carry around her neck. I am loving... I, for one, am loving the flashbacks that we're seeing, especially with Danny and Chris and Paul. There's, they flashed back to the scene of Danny and Christine at Legal Aid. Do you guys remember Legal Aid? Way before Christine became a private attorney, before she started a partnership with Michael Baldwin, she worked at Legal Aid just helping people with low income get legal advice. And they flashed back to this scene of them just before Christine was going to marry Paul, and Danny was, professing yet again his love for her, and he leaned in and made a move, gave her a kiss. She kissed back, and in some ways it was like a goodbye kiss, but Christine is now starting to realize that Phyllis must have seen that kiss, and that must have been the motive for her to go out, rent the car, and run her down all of those years ago. So it's cool to finally see it all coming full circle. I loved seeing Legal Aid. I loved seeing Christine back in the 90s with the exact same hair. Her hairstyle has not changed in 20 years, which is hilarious, but her makeup has. That's kind of funny because there was just, on everyone, way more makeup on in the 90s. Everybody was wearing way more makeup. It was about dark eyeshadow and heavy dark lips. It was very severe. Maybe that's why I feel like Chris looks a heck of a lot better now than she did back then, because it's just so much more natural now, and I like it. So this evidence is all starting to come out. It's looking really, really bad for Phyllis, and I find myself thinking, just wait until they find the video that Ricky took of Phyllis saying that she wanted to kill Daisy. She's gonna be in it for 2 violent acts. It's bad, bad news. And I really enjoyed Chris's reaction to this. I like that Chris didn't bother going through the legal channels when she started putting together these pieces. She confronted Phyllis right off the bat. Christine is a lot of things. Some people like her, some people hate her, but she's a lawyer. She's a federal agent, and she's pissed. She straight up got in Phyllis's face and didn't allow Phyllis any wriggle room. I think Christine has always had Phyllis's number from the very beginning. Whether you like Phyllis or hate Phyllis, Phyllis has pulled a lot of dirty, nasty tricks, and Christine has always been the one to be able to see through it. Phyllis is really good at doing her little song and dance and getting people to trust her and believe her, and she is a very sympathetic character, but Chris doesn't have that. She knows for a fact that Phyllis was out to destroy her life. Phyllis was very jealous of Christine and Danny's relationship. Phyllis did a lot of things to Christine back in the day that are far and beyond the hit and run. There are lots of little tiny things that she did. I just can't, I always recall back to Phyllis following Paul and Christine on their honeymoon to the Caribbean and putting an octopus in their bed. Chris knew that Phyllis was always out to get her. So finally now she has this proof. Phyllis knows it. She's finally got caught and she can feel the walls closing in. Phyllis gets desperate and she gets more and more wild as she gets desperate. And in many ways, that's what got her into this position in the first place. It's as soon as she starts to feel threatened in any way that she starts getting vicious. And that was what happened with Christine, and that's kind of what's happening now. It's getting scary. I'm definitely concerned for Phyllis. Nobody really knows the truth about what happened except for her and Daniel. She confided in Daniel a couple of weeks ago to confess. I think she didn't want to lie to her son, and she told him everything, and Daniel is really holding it against her. Daniel's got a major chip on his shoulder where his mother is concerned right now. I was very, very surprised that as soon as Christine left Phyllis's apartment with their confrontation, Daniel strolls on in. Lots of tension between mother and son. And Daniel ends up, well, I think actually she told Daniel that the credit card receipt, had come out. And Daniel decided that he thinks that this means Phyllis should stay away from Lucy. He basically said, I don't think you should be around my daughter right now. And I ask you, what does this have to do with Lucy? I don't get it. If Daniel is mad about Phyllis's reaction to Daisy's death, I totally get that. Phyllis has been pretty much not pulling any punches where Daisy's concerned. She feels like Lucy's better off that Daisy's dead. She feels a little happy that Daisy is dead, whereas Daniel feels guilty and realizes that it has left his daughter without her mother. Daniel has a sympathy about him about Daisy's quote-unquote death. So if that's what's giving him negative feelings toward Phyllis, I totally get that. But Daniel, let's not act like Phyllis is a sudden danger to your kid. That's ridiculous. Phyllis would never hurt the child. There's no reason to add salt into the wound and take Lucy away from her yet again. I felt really bad for Phyllis in that moment, really annoyed with Daniel, but at the same time, Phyllis did do this thing. She did try to mow Christine and Paul. She tried to mow Christine down with her car. Paul was kind of a circumstance he just happened upon into that scene. But she tried to kill Christine. And as Phyllis was describing the whole situation, confessing to Daniel a couple weeks back, she tried to give an excuse about how she accidentally hit the gas pedal instead of the brakes and she didn't mean to run over Christine. But that's a lie too. That is a lie. We all know that Phyllis she lies if she needs to protect herself. So I don't believe that at all. I believe that Phyllis intended to run over Christine and leave her for dead. That's how angry Phyllis was. So Michael has discovered that the VIN number, which I guess is some kind of registration number, on the rental car that ran down Christine matches the VIN number that was on Phyllis's credit card receipt. So she was able to erase the computer records, but that information is still there on her credit card receipt, and it links her to this crime irrefutably. There's no backing out. There's no, how do you even defend against that? It links her to the crime. And it puts Michael in such a horrible, horrible position. And in so many ways, it kind of feels like Michael is in the same position as Phyllis fans. You know, I mean, it was a really kind of poignant scene where Michael and Nick are talking about this situation with Phyllis, and Michael doesn't want to believe it's true, but he does. He knows it's true. And Michael so poignantly said to Nick, I love her too, but I know she did this. And that's how I think Phyllis fans feel right now. We love Phyllis, we love Phyllis, but she did this. And it was very, very bad. And I feel so horrible for Michael. I think his heart is breaking more than anyone else's. Although, I don't know. At first when Michael became the new DA, I kind of liked the idea. I thought that, oh, this will be something new and interesting for Christian LeBlanc. All he's done is defend these people against their various crimes for I don't even know how long. It'll be really interesting to see him on the prosecuting side. But now I think, how many times can we tell this story? Oh no, I have to prosecute my friends and family. I'm in a horrible position. You know, I mean, it's kind of, how many times are we going to be able to do this? I just hope that after the whole Phyllis thing is over, that Michael decides that he's had enough and decides to resign from the DA's position. I want him to go, okay, that's enough. I'll see you guys later. I'm gonna go back to private practice, or I'm gonna retire and do something else. I think that this is gonna be the end-all be-all of, oh God, I have to prosecute my friends. It's gonna be horrible for him. And there was just this brief moment, though, where it kind of looked like Phyllis might actually get off scot-free because there's a statute of limitations on crimes, and it's far past that. So weird. Like, if you can outrun a crime long enough, then you can just get away with it. That doesn't seem right to me. I don't know. But if you're a federal agent, then totally different story. Look out. If you try to run over a civilian with a car, meh. If you can skirt the law for, let's say, 15 years, you can get away with it. It's cool. You did your work. You tried to cover it up for 15 years. We're gonna give you a pass on this one and call it statute of limitations. But if you try to run over a government employee, whew, look out. So she's not gonna get away with it. Chris is out for justice, and this is the thing. I don't blame her. I don't blame Chris. Like, if someone tried to run you over with a car, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you want to prosecute? Wouldn't you want them to get in trouble? Put yourself in her shoes. So I don't blame her, but at the same time, I also don't necessarily want to see Phyllis get in trouble. Not that I don't think she deserves to get in trouble, just more so that I feel it's been done. I hate when we have long, drawn-out court battles, and we've already seen Phyllis go to court, didn't she? I can't remember what it was she went to court for, but she was hauled away on her wedding day, and then that became a long, drawn-out court battle. So I hate long, drawn-out court battles, which is exactly why I wish this would have gone in a different direction. Like, yeah, you can put Phyllis in jail, and she can rot. She can pay for it that way, or you can give a much more fitting punishment to a character like Phyllis. Expose her to the world. That's why I wish that Ricky was still around to write his expose book about Phyllis. That would have been so much better. It just would have been so much more interesting. I would rather have seen all of the women in Genoa City flipping through this tell-all nasty detail book about Phyllis's life. After she has done the same thing to the women in Genoa City, she had her, what was it, Home Wreckers of Genoa City blog that she wrote about all the women in Genoa City. I remember them sitting at the spa reading all of her writings, and Phyllis has exposed so many people through Restless Style, her job there. It would have just been so much more interesting and so much more fitting to have seen her pay publicly, you know, just have the rumor mill swirling, and I don't know, I think that would have been just a more interesting twist to the story. I don't know if maybe Restless Style will end up doing an expose about her, that they have the TV show that's going to be going on there now. Maybe something will come of that, or who knows, maybe Chloe will write an article or something. I just think that would have been way, way, way more interesting. But, you know, there's also the interesting element of, is Nick going to stand by her through all of this? Is he going to put up with this? Because Phyllis had a chance to confess to him, and she didn't take it. Nick was standing right there in front of her saying, I'm here, I support you, all you have to do is tell me the truth, I will help you. He gave her more than one opportunity, and instead, she straight up lied to his face about this whole thing. She's lied to everybody about this whole thing. She's lied to Michael, she's lied to Nick, she's lied to everybody, she's lied to them all. She is really sticking to her story. It's like she has decided that she's going to defend herself, that she's going to deny it all the way, and that's exactly what she's doing. And the thing that really gets me, the thing that irks me about watching these scenes with her especially, is that Phyllis acts offended, completely offended that all of the people in her life think that it could even be possible that she would have committed this crime. She acts like everyone is out to get her, like they're betraying her by believing that she could do this, but she's guilty. She did this. She put herself in this position. She put herself here. And she keeps saying to everyone, how can you think that I would do this? How can you think that I would do this? Well, you did. You did do it. And you should have been honest with Nick and everyone really when you had the chance, but especially Nick, because I think that Nick could have handled the truth if she just hadn't lied to him. It's the fact that she lied to him that I think is really going to set Nick over the edge. And, you know, Nick wanted to be her biggest advocate. I mean, you also have Avery. Phyllis, I don't think, ever really straight up lied to Avery, but she didn't, you know, really tell her the truth either. But Avery has this thing about her where she wants to believe in people's innocence. That's part of her character. She's built her entire life around, you know, the incident that happened with the father. She believed in his innocence, fought her entire life to free him, and it turned out in the end, he wasn't innocent. And now she's come back, still with that instinct of wanting to help her sister, which is awesome, but she's also come back a little bit older, a little bit wiser, and she realizes that Phyllis is lying to her. And Michael realizes that Phyllis is lying to her. It's Nick who A, doesn't want to believe it, wants to give her the benefit of the doubt, and B, just wants to stay with her, wants to be supportive, wants to try to help her through this. He sees that she's suffering. So Nick walked in on a confrontation between Phyllis and Michael, didn't like it, feels like Michael's harassing his wife. So Nick later goes down to the police station where apparently Michael is not only the DA but the chief of police, for crying out loud. But Nick goes down there, confronts Michael, and Michael tells him the evidence. Before, Nick has been going off half-cocked, just saying, oh, it's not possible. Phyllis says she didn't do this, therefore, Phyllis didn't do this. Until Michael shows him the evidence about the VIN number, and What can he do? How can you deny it now? Then he goes, after that he goes to see Avery. She's already had her realization, and that starts to plant seeds of doubt in Nick's mind. There's just no way. There's no way. Everybody can see that Phyllis has done this. Everybody can see that she's lied about it. Later, Christine tells Michael she has found this loophole that says, since she was a federal agent at the time working for Legal Aid, which I don't even know. Yeah, I guess that makes sense that she worked for Legal Aid, so she was a federal employee at the time. And so that means that Phyllis can be prosecuted for the hit and run, and Christine wants Phyllis prosecuted, and damn it, she wants Michael to prosecute her. So Michael goes to Phyllis, who is about to confess to him, I think. I think she's about to come clean. She just can't hold it in anymore. She wants her friend, her friend to be standing in front of her, not the DA. She wants to confide in someone who's not Nick, because she's, of course, always constantly, desperately trying to not lose Nick, to hold on to Nick, to hold on to whoever it is that she loved. Again, this is exactly what got her in this position in the first place. She was trying desperately to hang on to Danny, and that's what caused her to fly off the handle and do all of these things to Christine. But Michael this time comes to tell her, whatever you have to say, save it, because it is not going to help you at this point. I'm here to tell you that you need to get your affairs in order, because you're going down for this. And it's such a reality shock, a reality check for Phyllis, that she can't outrun this anymore. I feel bad for her. I mean, it's hard because it's one time I feel bad for her, but I also feel, oh, it is kind of justice. But I don't know. Michael telling her to get her affairs in order, to me, just means, girl, you better try to have sex with Nick one more time. Because it might be the last time that you have a chance to have sex for a while. Although, I don't know, it kind of seems to me like Ronan, hanging out at the police station, doesn't want anybody to think that he has any kind of bias for Paul. He's willing to kind of take a hard line on Paul, but as all of this starts coming out about Phyllis, it seems like Ronan is willing to play the devil's advocate for her, saying, well, we don't really have any evidence, it could be anything. Come on! You want to give her the benefit of the doubt, but not Paul? Oh, maybe they can get it on while she's in jail, because she's going to jail. She's going to jail, and that's nothing. Here's the thing. Here's the real kicker. It's not just the hit and run. That's just the tip of the iceberg of the trouble that Phyllis is in, because the credit card statement that Daisy was carrying around in her wallet proves that Daisy was blackmailing Phyllis, which gives Phyllis a motive, a clear motive for killing Daisy, for murdering Daisy. And I'm telling you guys right now, when Daisy's murder ends up going to trial, this hit and run is just going to establish the violent behavior that Phyllis has had in the past. Nina makes a really good point. Is Chris really ready to take on Paul's case when she's obsessed with her own hit and run case? Paul is facing murder charges, but you know what? That's not even the biggest thing on his mind. Paul had to kill his son to save Eden's life. That is a huge load to carry. And Paul doesn't even, he's not even worried about getting out of jail so he can go home, take a shower, have some meal, watch a game. No, he wants out of jail so that he can attend his son's funeral. He murdered his own son, and not to mention the fact that he feels this residual guilt for a lifetime of neglect, a lifetime of being a deadbeat father. And all he wants is to go to his son's funeral so that he can say goodbye to him, apologize to him, start to resolve his feelings in some way. And Chris is dumping on him about some crime that happened 20 years ago. It's insensitive of Christine. That's what it is. Personally, that's how I feel anyway. I mean, she realizes that this is what has happened, and Chris feels like she has to tell Paul. She has to tell him, because she never did, that she kissed Danny right before they were planning to be married, and that's what gave Phyllis the motive to run her over. So just great. Now you gotta break Paul's heart on top of it. But Paul the entire time is sitting there like, I don't even care. It was pretty much the whole body language that he's got going on. And Paul even goes so far as to absolve Christine of any blame. Christine's here feeling guilty that she gets another man on their wedding day, and Paul's like, you know what? It's all Phyllis's fault. Anything that has happened as a result of that whole thing, that's on Phyllis. That has nothing to do with you. Which is true in the larger sense, but at the same time, of course Christine couldn't possibly be at fault. Christine's never done anything wrong in her life. It is very indicative of how that character has always been treated. Christine has always been, we thought Sharon was supposed to be some angel in the past. Christine surpasses that so far and beyond. But Paul astonishes me. He absolutely astonishes me. Is this guy working on Genoa City Man of the Year award or something? Is that what he's lobbying for? Because he's so reasonable now. He has experienced suffering so deep, and it's making him so compelling to me. So Eden goes to visit Paul and tells him that she feels so horrible about the fact that she can't help him because she can't remember anything. She says, I'm so sorry. And do you know what Paul said to her? He said, I wouldn't want you to remember, even if you could. If you had the memory of what happened that night, I wish I would try to take it away from you if I could. I don't want you to have to see what went on there. Even though that would help get him out of all of these charges, would help remove the shadow of doubt that's been cast upon him, I think that in some ways Paul feels like he deserves whatever's coming his way. He feels intensely guilty, and even though he knows that Eden could help him, he's not there wringing her neck saying, try to remember to save my hide. No! He's saying, I don't want you to even have to deal with it. Don't you think about it. You're alive, and that's what makes me happy. And it was such a almost special little moment there between Eden and Paul that I really liked and appreciated. At the same time, hey, Eden, if you feel bad about what's going on with Paul, how about you try to do everything in your power to remember? Why don't you go back and retrace your steps? She's saying, I'm sorry, but she doesn't seem to really be trying to remember. I want to see her agonizing. Is it just me? I want to see her going through her own personal hell with this. I want her to force herself to remember and go through therapy or whatever she needs to go through, not just, oh, sorry, I wish I could help you. Like, if Eden hadn't taken it upon herself to go snooping in Ricky's room and decided she was going to figure out on her own to find out what happened to Daisy, then none of this would have happened. Ricky would not be dead. Paul would not have had to be in that position. So why don't you do something useful, Eden? Go out and find the damn knife. Why don't you? Put yourself to use. Find the knife that just got up and walked away, because certainly the police are not going to find it. They're sure not looking for the knife, but I'm telling you, I said it last week, I'll say it again. Find the knife, you will find Daisy. And you may possibly even find Ricky if my theory holds correctly. So Heather, speaking of the knife, overheard Ronan trying to step it up to find this weapon, because I can't believe that it's gone out of thin air. Why isn't that, how does it just disappear? And so Heather kind of decides to ream Ronan a little bit and tell him to get his hot little buns on it. And Ronan kind of says, look, I'm doing everything I can do. And then as soon as Heather turns her back, he's on the phone saying, find the knife, you know, get on this. And she witnesses that and realizes that he is trying to step it up. He is trying to do everything he can do, which I'm sure endeared her to him even more, which how could it not? Do you guys think that anything might go on with Heather and Ronan? Can you see it? Are you feeling it? Could there be any potential chemistry? Obviously we haven't got, I mean, there's no romance happening at the police station right now, but I wonder if it will happen in the future. Except, I don't know, this is just me, I'm just curious. But does anybody know if Jennifer Landon might be gay? She seems gay to me. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. There's just something about her mannerisms. I could see her being gay. But I wonder. I'm curious. I mean, she's definitely very. It's not quite the way either of the other two Heathers have played it. I think Vale Bloom was much more. I got kind of like a film noir vibe from Vale Bloom. She was the district attorney, but she was sexy and smoky, and you know, you could just see her in a silhouette, maybe with a hat on or something. And then you had Eden Reigel, who was just she was plastic, just made of plastic. I think you could crack open her head and there wasn't anything in there. I couldn't stand last Heather. And then this Heather, Jennifer Landon's Heather, is very stiff. I think she's got some emotions behind there, but she definitely has a wall up, which is kind of how Ronan is too. So, I mean, I don't know. Ultimately, of course, you know I want Ronan with Chloe, but that doesn't seem to be wanting to happen. So, I don't know. I just wonder if that's where Weiner's going with it, Heather and Ronan. I don't know. You'll have to let me know what you guys think about that. I was glad that it was revealed that Ronan is trying to help on Paul's side, because Nina is still being really hard on him. I think she realized to some extent that he's helping, but she's still kind of reaming him, telling him that he could be more sensitive toward Paul. But you can't expect Ronan to bend the rules for you. That's not right. That's not his job. He'd be thrown off the case in a heartbeat. So I just wish she was. I'm surprised at how bitter Nina seems toward him, especially when their last parting was so positive and uplifting. But I don't know, maybe that's part of why the story is a little bit different this time. Maybe it's Nina with some walls up and Ronan who's trying. I don't know, we'll have to see. But finally, Michael did release Paul. He let him go in time for the funeral, and what ensued were these just horrible graveside moments for Paul. He had, well, actually first let's get some of the funny stuff out of the way. The priest, or the preacher who was presiding over the funeral, was Mr. Belding. I don't know his real name, but he's famously known for playing Mr. Belding on Saved by the Bell. So if you are a 20-something or 30-something, you probably remember Saved by the Bell. It was kind of interesting to see him there being a very, you know, given a sermon, really. But it was cool to see him. And also I read that Brett Butler is going to be coming back as well. She had that brief little role as the superintendent at Dr. Reed's, oh my gosh, I just made that connection too. She was a superintendent at Dr. Reed's building, but I'm sure that the whole Dr. Reed thing is going to come into play with Phyllis as well. She paid him to get out of town, but I'm sure somebody's going to be able to find him. I'm sure since he's not dead, I'm sure someone will he'll come back and testify against her or something finally. But those are just two little interesting casting notes. The bread and butter here was Paul's reaction at the gravesite. He had a couple of friends there with him. Obviously, Heather was there, Nina, Christine. I feel like somebody else was there that I'm not remembering. But it was just heartbreaking, because after the little ceremony, the little religious ceremony, Paul just had this moment of wondering whether his son was in heaven or hell. And, you know, I don't know if any of you, I had a relative who had a really troubled mind, a really troubled life, and you know, you do kind of wonder, you know, if you're religious, you wonder what's happened to them. Are they paying, you know, or are, you know, I'm sure Paul wants to believe that Ricky is in heaven, but it's probably more likely that he's not. And so he has that religious battle going on inside of him. And then just the fact that he knows he was a deadbeat dad in a way. He knows he was a poor father. He failed as a father. And he went on to tell the story about the Father's Day cards that he received from Ricky, and how he was like 7 or 8 years old sending his dad a Father's Day card, and he drew this picture of them together, and it was really sweet, and he wrote him and told him all about his life on the inside of the card. And then another year goes by, and the next year's card is just Happy Father's Day, Ricky. And for an investigator, that's something that Paul just didn't pick up on. He didn't pick up on the fact that his son was pulling away from him. But so you can't reach out to somebody and then never get anything back and expect them to keep reaching out for you. You know, Ricky was trying to reach out to his father, and Paul wasn't taking the bait. And in Paul's defense, or in an explanation of Paul's behavior, I think that Paul is someone who has always been really, really busy and focused on his career. Paul was someone who was driven on his own. He had a passion. He had something he was always pursuing. And I don't think that that is an altogether uncommon theme. There are a lot of people in real life who do that, you know, get crazy busy with their careers and, you know, ignore their children. And it's not an uncommon theme in The Young and the Restless either. We have, you know, like Victor. Victor did that with Adam, was so focused on making money and all the drama that was going on in his life that he wasn't paying attention to the son he had out in Kansas. You have Phyllis even, who didn't have hardly any contact with Daniel as he was growing up. I'm sure there are countless. You have Jack and Kyle. There are so many. Even Nick. I mean, I'm sure Victor didn't really have all of that much contact with Nick either. So Paul is certainly not alone in that. He was very focused on his life and his achievements. And I keep, of course, flashing back and thinking about that scrapbook that Heather found amongst Ricky's things, where Ricky had clipped out, it's like a dagger in the heart. Ricky had clipped out newspaper articles about Paul's achievements. Every time Paul cracked a case, Ricky would find it in the newspaper and clip it out and keep it in his scrapbook. Why did Ricky have to die? Why, God? I just think he was, there's a reason for why he turned out to be the way he was, and it is Paul's fault. Paul made this mistake. He messed up and he knows it. He failed Ricky, and there was enough, you know, after the kind of public ceremony, Paul asked all of his friends to leave, and there were these scenes where he was just alone at the graveside trying to reconcile this and saying to himself that, and out loud, that he may have made the right decision at the time, you know, with having to shoot Ricky. He had to save Eden's life, and he knows that he did the right thing in that, but he also had a lifetime leading up to that moment where he failed, and he knows that, and he realizes it. And I feel sympathy for Paul, because I know that he's not alone. It's not unique. I mean, haven't you ever made a bad decision that affected someone else's life in a negative way? I know that this is a major mess up for Paul. It's not small potatoes, but I feel that the important thing is that he realized what he's done too late, unfortunately, but he's atoning, he's trying, and he's trying to, I just have sympathy for someone who is trying, and not only that, but the fact that he really acknowledges everything that happened. He had this line where he said, nobody is born with a broken soul. Souls are broken along the way. Meaning that he knows for as angry as Ricky was, and as much as he lashed out, that was in balance with how much Ricky must have suffered. Nobody's that angry without having suffered so much, and he realized that a lot of that suffering was his fault. He was the one stable parent that Ricky could have had. He absolutely could have had Ricky come live with him. There's no reason why he couldn't have been a single dad. Plenty of people do it all the time, and he just chose not to. He just messed up. He messed up big. I just feel like he wouldn't be the first, and he will not be the last. So it's also just the fact that Doug Davidson is giving me such a performance. It is astonishing how good he is right now, and so I'm loving it. So I'm apt to forgive Paul right now. And also there's just the fact that there are a couple of little hints that tell us that this story is not over. As Paul is at the gravesite, he starts to hear some rustling happening in the bushes and feels that someone is there, and looks off into the distance, but no one's there. Only on the ground there is a shining rosary left. And I'm so curious to know what you guys think about that, because it could be one of a couple things. It could be Patty. Patty could have been there watching over her brother, knowing that he's suffering. Or, more interestingly, and I don't even care if this is a recast, Isabella? Could it be? If it even, of course, Ava Longoria, famous now, originated that role. She's never coming back to The Young and the Restless. I'm sorry, as much as I love her, she is never coming back, so don't put it out of your mind. She's too famous for this. I mean, you don't see Meg Ryan ever coming back to Days or whoever, you don't see David, well, actually David Hasselhoff did come back, but I just don't think she's at such the prime. She's never going to come back. If she does, it's going to be way, way in the future. So I can see them recasting Isabella, and if it's a good recast, I'm totally for it, especially because, to me, it just lends more credence to the fact that Ricky could still be alive. His death could have, who knows how close he was with his mother. They could have been two little peas in the pot. He obviously loved her, revered her very much. She could have helped him cook up a plan. She could have helped him in who knows how many ways. Isabella is crazy, but not stupid by any means. And just coupled with the fact that we had a funeral, but we did not have a body, I'm sorry. And until I see a body, I'm never going to believe that Ricky is dead. On to lighter topics. We had some basketball playing this week. Nick and Neil decided to go outside and shoot a few hoops, which is always fun because basketball time means shirtless dude time. Say what you will about either of them, but they both looked really good. Nick, as always, and Christophe St. John, Neil, I'm sorry, Neil looks good. And he's got personality to boot. So I enjoyed shirtless basketball very, very much. And I really loved seeing Sarge get in there and play with the boys. Sarge was the only one who wasn't shirtless. Obviously, Sarge has more going on, I think, up in the brain, up in the upper part of his body. He's not as much of a workout guy, but I loved seeing him shooting hoops with them, and especially scamming them out of money. He's in there pretending like he can't play basketball, gets them all thinking that he's terrible at it, and then at the very end, bam, starts scamming them out of money. I really enjoyed it. And also, couldn't help but think, like, these are rich guys playing for $20 tops. It was something like $2 a letter. Are you kidding me? Nick Newman is a billionaire, probably. I mean, he is. He's a billionaire heir. And Neil isn't doing too bad himself. And here they are playing over 20 bucks. It was kind of funny and cute. But it warmed me up to Sarge. It made me think, aw, Sarge is kind of cool. And he's smart. He's a smart guy. When he needs something, he needs a woman. He really does. He's got a good head on his shoulders, and he's not about to settle for someone who's hung up on someone else. I think that Sarge would love to date Harmony. I think he'd love to get to know Harmony, but he sees that Harmony is clearly in love with Neil. I mean, they had this run-in at the coffee house this week where Harmony sees Neil, then Harmony sees Sarge, and she runs over to Sarge to try to avoid Neil, and Sarge straight up said to her, "So who am I rescuing you from this time?" So he's not stupid. He knows she loves him, and he knows now, after having played basketball, that Neil loves Harmony too. Neil was trying to be sly about asking Sarge how Harmony was. Give me a break. Lily called Neil out on it this week too. Neil has huge puppy love eyes for Harmony, and there just ain't no hiding it. He's trying to get close to her every time she's around. He has to, it's like he's following her around town in a way. He is like a little puppy. He wants to see her. I mean, he sees her everywhere. There is no avoiding her. She's part of the family. She's Devon's mother. She's always going to be there. And he at least doesn't want it to be awkward, but more so, he really likes her. He's really starting to fall in love with her. And everybody else is giving her a second chance. It just seems like Harmony almost doesn't want to give herself a second chance. So this week, Devon and Anna got into the studio and they recorded their little song. How do you guys feel about Anna? Leave me a comment and let me know how you feel about Anna. I'm not a huge Anna fan. I never really have been, but she's not my favorite. But if you like her, you should let me know why you like her, because help convince me. That's what I need. I need to be convinced of Anna. Do you think she should stay on? Seems like she's leaving again. She's going to summer camp or something. But seems like she's only a temporary character. But what do you guys think? Is she gonna hang around a little more? I don't know. I'm just glad that she has come in and given Harmony that second chance that she really needed. And she called Harmony and said, "Hey, do you want to come listen to this track that we just laid down?" And Harmony's like, "Yeah. Oh, and can I bring Neil?" Because as much as Harmony wants to act like she don't want him, she knows she wants him. She's acknowledged that she wants him. It's just she's trying to fight it. But she brings Neil along with her to the studio. They all listen to the song. It's painfully clear that they're into each other. Even Devon notices it, pulls Harmony aside, and decides to give her his blessing, which I thought was nice, even though they don't need your blessing, Devon, by the way. I appreciate the thought, Devon, especially since he did make rounds to go around and, and kind of make amends with Catherine, make amends with Tucker. He had been very hard on both Harmony and Tucker for their affair. He apologized to both of them, and he gave Harmony his blessing to go ahead and get involved with Neil. Thanks. She's a grown woman. She can pretty much do what she wants, but thanks a whole lot. And that actually ended up being the catalyst that allowed Harmony to allow herself to decide to get involved with Neil. Although the thing is, I feel like Devon's opinion wasn't the reason why she wasn't getting involved with Neil, because she was getting along with Devon, and well, I guess the problem, the reason they couldn't get together before was because Neil was married to Sophia, and then Harmony slept with Tucker, and then that caused problems. But I felt like Harmony was trying to not get with Neil because she was trying to stay sober. It was like a part of her sobriety. She gave a speech early on in the week about how she really needs to stay close to the 12 steps, and that means not getting involved with anyone. And as soon as Devon gives her the green light, whoo-ha, she's on it. She calls Neil, asks him to go out on a date. And pretty much, I was expecting her to tell Neil that she loved him, because she got kind of emotional on him and said, "Hey, if this is gonna be a mistake, it's gonna be my favorite mistake," which I thought was a beautiful scene, a beautiful line. It's gonna be one of my favorite mistakes too, and I'm just looking forward to taking this mistake right into the bedroom. Abby has got to be one of the most selfish people in Genoa City. She really takes the cake. She barely apologizes, barely makes apologies for what she did, this entire stunt she pulled. She made everyone in her life think that she was in real danger. There are people all over the world that are in real danger. She took up resources, emotional and physical resources, from everybody around her, and doesn't really seem to feel bad for it. Like, she finds out that she had been working so hard on this gala. She finds out that the donations are now being withdrawn because of her stunt. And you know what her reaction is? She says, "Oh my God, I wore those overalls for no reason?" I want to smack her. I really do. Ashley has really done her an injustice. Victor has really done her an injustice by allowing her to be such a brat. And the cherry on top of this cake is, I said it last week, I really don't think that the whole kidnapping stunt had nearly as much to do with getting out of the gala debacle as it was about getting a date. She's been eyeballing Carmine and his junk for weeks now. And I think she saw an opportunity to get close to him, and she took it. And this week, she goes around, tries to plead Carmine's case to try to get everyone to forgive him. And she has the nerve to go to Chloe and ask Chloe to back off and not testify against Carmine. Just because Abby wants to sleep with him doesn't mean that Chloe has to back off or that Chloe wants to sleep with him. She's so immature. And I think that Abby is a character who needs someone older, more mature to help balance her out, to help anchor her down. The girl needs a reality check. She's funny. It is funny seeing her little adventures, but I need it to come down a notch. I'm starting to lose any kind of respect for her, and I would love to see her with someone who can give her that, who can help kind of reel her in a little bit. Maybe someone poor, you know, someone who isn't completely concerned about money, who could help teach her help her teach her some values, for crying out loud. I mean, Carmine fits the bill as far as, you know, he's kind of poor, he seems more mature than she is, certainly, but I need to see something more from him. I really do. He's hot, but he's not hot enough to get a pass on a personality. Like, I need a reason to want him. Give me a reason beyond body to want Carmine YNR. That's what I need. As a matter of fact, Abby too, for that matter. Give me a reason to love Abby, because comedic relief is awesome, but she can't mess up this big and not have some kind of realization or some kind of redeeming moment. I mean, for crying out loud, we're ready to throw the book at Phyllis, but Abby ran Tucker down with her car too. Ugh. Heartbreaking goodbye between Ashley and Tucker this week. First of all, Eileen Davidson is perfection. Her hair is perfect. Her makeup is perfect. Her wardrobe is perfect. I hate that we're losing her to days. Clearly, she will not be as satisfied or treated as the royalty that she is over there. She belongs at YNR. I'm so annoyed by that. So she's better than that. I'm really sorry. I've always kind of had a little bit of a chip on my shoulder about Days. I don't know if I've ever told you guys this, but because I don't want to offend anybody, but I used to watch Days back in the day, and I'm sorry, it's stupid. Like, they always get into this, I don't know, they get into supernatural stuff over there. And also, Eileen Davidson played that dual role. I was watching when she was playing, it was Kristen, and then there was this ugly, I don't know, doppelganger or something that she played with big horse teeth. It's just so dumb. I just think that she would be so much better off with YNR, where us sophisticated fans of our sophisticated show can appreciate her. I'm such a snob because I have a friend actually who watches Days, and I always have to give him a little bit of hell. I always like to pretend that or I don't even pretend. I think in my heart it's true that like Days is just not as good. That Y&R is for intelligent people. I'm sorry. I know that that's horrible, but it's true. I feel like by the virtue of you watching Y&R means that you're more intelligent. I mean, you know, soaps are stupid sometimes, but Y&R just really takes it, I think, to a classy level. I'm sure it has nothing to do with the fact that I'm biased at all, but anyway, I'm gonna miss Ashley. I hated watching that goodbye. She said to her, she said to him, one of the things that I liked best about being married to you was that I was waking up to my best friend every day. They were best friends. And he betrayed her. He absolutely betrayed her. And she even graciously said to him, let's just be friends. Can we just be friends? Which is so much better than I would do. If my husband cheated on me, if I ever walked in on him with somebody else in bed, there would be no let's be friends. It would be this means war. There's no way I could be that compassionate, but she was, and it was a beautiful goodbye. She just quietly asks him to sign the divorce papers, and I'm sure she'll decide to leave town sooner or later. Right after the goodbye, this kind of bothered me. Tucker approaches Harmony, which, again, I love Harmony, but I would think that Tucker would want to stay away from the woman who cost him his marriage. And no, he just comes right up to her, almost like he wants to get it on with her. I would think that Tucker would want to take a break from women for a while, but no. He slips back on those black horns rimmed glasses that I thought were history. He had new glasses. Maybe they taped it at weird times. Maybe the 4th of July episode was taped after this episode or something, because he had on those nice clear new funky glasses. Now he's back to the horns rim, which I like. I just thought that they were done. I thought they were donezo. But no, he slips on his horns rims, pops a squat next to Genevieve, and Genevieve tells him that she wants a job. Tucker is very hesitant about giving her a job. He hasn't agreed to it yet. But at the same time, he's footing the bill for her living expenses. She lost all of her money. Her Swiss bank accounts are being drained little by little, and she can't afford to keep her house. She can't afford to pay her bill at the athletic club, although I'm sure that, isn't there a Budget Inn or a Motel 6 or a Super 8 or something? Even a Marriott or a Doubletree that Genevieve could stay at. Does she really have to stay at the athletic club? I mean, how much per night you think those rooms are? I betcha. I mean, she's got to be paying like at least $300 or $400 a night for that room. It's getting expensive, and Tucker's footing the bill, but she doesn't like that. She doesn't want handouts from Tucker, so she asks if she can have a job. Now, a little hitch in the plan, Kane wants to help his mother, decides that he wants to help pay for her hotel bill, and so he goes up to the concierge or whoever it was, the hotel manager, and tells him he wants to pay for her hotel, and he says, oh, well, that's already been taken care of by Tucker McCall. Now, Kane is not happy about the fact that Tucker is helping his mother. In fact, Kane wants Tucker to stay far away from his mother. He tells Genevieve in no uncertain terms that she needs to not get mixed up with him, whereas in return Genevieve's like, look, I've known Tucker longer than you've been alive, kid, so you don't know, you're not telling me anything I don't already know. My question for you though is, why is Kane so against Tucker? What did Tucker ever do to Kane? Because the last I remember, so Kane was working for Tucker, and Sophia was helping him cover up the fact that he was in that blackmail situation. I think the guy's name was Blake or something, and Kane used Tucker's company in order to help him skirt his blackmail situation. So Tucker ended up hiring this Blake guy at this huge exorbitant salary so that Cain could pay him off. So why is Cain acting like Tucker did him wrong? I think Tucker turned around and fired Cain as soon as he found out, but for crying out loud, I would have fired him too. He lied to Tucker and used his business. Cain's lucky Tucker didn't turn around and sue him. He's got a lot of money out of him. I mean, I think Cain was doing double work to cover it, but still. I think that Cain's disapproval of Tucker, coupled with Ashley's exit, coupled with the fact that Harmony and Neil are now together, just means that we are headed in the direction of a Tucker and Genevieve romance. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Someone actually made an interesting point to me that maybe Tucker will turn out to be Cain's father. I mean, it's a possibility. Or Samantha's father. I don't know, something, whoever the oldest sibling was. Because, you know, maybe that's why Genevieve dumped him when they were kids. Maybe she realized that he was a big old business mogul, didn't really want to have a child. Same reason Harmony didn't tell him about the child. So maybe she was pregnant, and that's why she decided to get out of town. So she goes to Australia, hooks up with someone who she knows can give her and her baby financial security. It's possible. It's an interesting scenario. So, this week, though, interesting development. A package shows up at Cain's door. There's a knock on the door. Lily opens the door, and there's an envelope sitting on the ground with Cain's name on it. Lily bends down to pick up the envelope, and Cain practically threw her out of the way, as if he got this vibe like the envelope was going to explode if Lily picked it up or something. Did you guys notice that? There was just a brief little moment where you could tell he didn't want her. It was suspicious. Don't touch the envelope. It could be a bomb. So he leans over and he picks up the envelope, and it is filled with Swiss francs, money, bills. So either Samantha is still alive, or Colin is playing a cruel, cruel trick. And to me, I think it looks like Samantha is alive and she has it out for Genevieve. Because someone is draining Genevieve's Swiss bank account and leaving her on the ropes on purpose. I am tired of watching Sharon pretend to be happy. I wish that Sharon would get in there and fight for her man. She let Adam go. She left him when he was blind. It was bad. She regretted it. She regretted it pretty quickly. So, suck it up, Sharon. Don't try to make Adam jealous. And don't accept a relationship of convenience with Victor. Fight for your man, if that's what you want. Time is running out, okay? Chelsea and Adam are engaged. They are planning to elope. If you're gonna make a move, make it now, I beg of you. At the ranch, Nikki is out with the horses, as she likes to do. She doesn't live there. She's no longer the lady of the manor, but she still goes to ride her horses. Give me a break. It's such an excuse. And she comes busting in, bitching at Victor about how the new horse he bought for Sharon is being treated. Sharon's not out there brushing him daily. She's not riding him, and the horse has no sheen. The horse is just not happy. She's not taking care of the horse the way Nikki would take care of the horse. And so she decides it's an excuse to go up to the ranch to give Victor hell about it. And it's true. Victor bought that horse for Sharon. And Sharon doesn't even care about horses. He did it to get under Nikki's skin. He's using Sharon as this replacement for Nikki, and Nikki is looking for excuses to have contact with Victor. Nikki and Jack are planning their wedding. What's she doing going out to the ranch anyway? Jack is like literally steps away from saying I do to Nikki and walking down the aisle. He's determined. He's gonna walk down the aisle with her, and so he's at his physical therapy, pushing himself, and he's seeing progress. And in my mind, I just feel so bad because he is such a fool. He's just being played for such a fool. It's just a sidetrack, another sidetrack in the Nikki and Victor game. As much as I do think Nikki loves Jack, and I don't think she's trying to use him, I think that Nikki wants Victor to rescue her. She wants him to ride in on his white horse and tell her not to marry Jack. She wants Victor to give her a reason, give her one good reason, any kind of hope to not go through with this marriage. And I just have to roll my eyes at Nikki and Victor at this point, because it's just foreplay for them. It's the same old story. It always ends the same way. They start arguing with each other. Victor's saying how Nikki's jealous. Nikki's saying how Victor is unfeeling. How many chances does one man get to change? And Nikki starts making these parallels about how Sharon is not her. And she's not. Nikki says, you know, that Sharon doesn't know how to handle the horse, and she doesn't know how to handle Victor. And Victor says, you know, he kind of agrees. Like, Nikki actually said, it's too bad Sharon doesn't know how to handle the beast. And it was a dual thing. She was talking literally about the horse, but there was a subcontext of the fact that Sharon doesn't know how to handle Victor. She don't know how to ride Victor the way Nikki does. It's only too bad that Sharon overhears this whole conversation, doesn't realize that Nikki's talking about the damn horse. She turns around, runs out the door, swallows it all down. Adam is moving on. Victor isn't in love with her, and she decides to go shopping, which always makes me feel better. But it just says right there, Sharon has everything that she could physically need, but she doesn't have anyone. Emotionally, it's like no one is paying attention to Sharon, and she needs attention. And when she can't get positive attention, she seeks out negative attention. So she goes, grabs a necklace, and just gently slips it into her shopping bag. Like the straw that broke the horse's back, Sharon returns to her old klepto ways. It is a good thing, my friends, that Sharon didn't stick around to see and hear the end of the Victor and Nikki conversation, because just as Nikki turns to leave the ranch and says to Victor, I'm leaving and I'm not coming back this time, Victor waits till exactly the 11th hour to just slightly call out. Nikki's hand on the doorknob, Victor slightly calls out, Nikki, don't go. Okay, my friends, that takes me to the end of another Y&R chat for this week. I had a really good time chatting with you guys. There's so much going on. I'm sure I talked longer than normal this time. The Phyllis stuff is really heating up, and I know that passions are flaring. I mean, it seems like Phyllis and Sharon, they're both really divisive characters. People either love them or hate them, and there's so many people on both sides of the fence. I always end up somewhere in the middle. I can always kind of see the good and bad. That's maybe my curse in life, but that's kind of how I feel. I gotta give it to you guys honestly, and this is honestly how I feel. But it's time for you to give it to me. Tell me how you feel. There's too much going on to not leave a comment. So there's a text box below this video, and you should use it. Use it once, use it twice, use it 5 times. I don't care. Get it all out. This is your therapy place. This is a safe space. You can tell me what you're thinking without fear of repercussion. You guys give it to me in ways you think of things I wouldn't think of. So please be honest. I always look forward to reading your comments and responding to them. All right, that's gonna do it for me for this week. I love you guys, loving the show, thinking of you, and looking forward to next week. So until then, everybody take care. Bye.